us rolling.
I like that, though.
I can't get our timer to...
Just keep it in our mind.
So we're starting at 21.
21. So what does it give us to 51? All right. Everybody knows this. It is the time. The one you've been waiting for. Your moment to shine.
Are you just dragging it along until I start talking?
That's what I do. That's what a co-host does. You just keep the show going. I was watching Hoosiers last night, and he purposely got kicked out of the game to see how the assistant coach could handle the pressure. Sometimes you have to, and that was Dennis Hopper. And what'd he do? Come through in the clutch.
You made me smile when I saw that on your stories.
The Hoosiers? Come on, dude. Classic.
So my dad had me watch that on VHS.
Oh, yeah. 100%, dude.
The baby blue sleeve. I remember it.
Jimmy, dude, was ice, dude.
Jimmy's dad. The drunk. So good.
Yeah, that's Dennis.
That's real time.
Yeah, it was 3, 2, 1, let her fly. In and out. No, it's fouled, though.
I don't think anyone knows what we're talking about.
We're talking about the movie Hoosiers, and if you haven't watched it, watch it. There's good life lessons there. Yeah. But we'll give you some better life lessons here on this show, and that is mortgage and home buying lessons, right?
Absolutely. Well, today, we really just wanted to have a general conversation about getting pre-approved and what you need to do because, Casey, we all know nationally it's a crazy market.
It's fire out there. It's actually very competitive, and there's a lot of people in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in it, and there's a lot of people that are not really sure how to get started. And I'm not saying like get into a car with a real estate agent and go look at homes or spending an enormous amount of time on Redfin or Zillow, which are common things people do when they start thinking about buying a home. I'm talking about maybe what are the biggest mistakes first-time home buyers make?
For sure.
So we want to jump into that a little bit on this app. And then what are some easy takeaways to be prepared? Make sure you're got your financing in order. Make sure you're actually partnered with
making the right steps.
Right, and a winning team. Because I think that's what's
important.
Making the difference, at least in our market here. A lot of people are surprised about how much success our team has had on the purchase side, helping home buyers in a very ultra competitive market. And we've got philosophies and tactics that are showing success. I would like to always open too with, what I always like to say is like the myths of mortgage. Number one myth, if anyone says they can guarantee you something, just move on to the next salesperson.
Yeah, I think that's good advice too. Dude, I didn't even think we gave you guys a proper introduction here. You are listening to the MLO Show, and this is Addy Nett over here, my partner in crime, and this is Casey Carpenter in front of you. But yeah, on this show, we are trying to give you that good advice and transparent information. And I think that's like life advice, though, Addy, right? Like, if it's too good to be true, or I'm guaranteeing it,
Absolutely. There's no guarantees.
There's that term. There's no guarantees in life. I mean, I think that carries across the board, whether, you're actually going through life or buying consumer products or whatever. Like, really, I guess, guys, if that's on paper, physically on paper, you can sign for that to guarantee that it's all there and not verbally, maybe. Right? But if someone's guaranteeing you stuff, I don't know.
I mean, that was a really long-winded way to explain it, but yeah, there's just no guarantees. And to tie it with like agents and lenders, if they're saying, "Oh, we can guarantee your offer get accepted," it sounds really elementary, but unfortunately, there are people out in this world that are going to make promises that can't be. So don't be fooled by that. Really, from what I'm saying, Casey, is like say, certain homes are getting whatever market you're in, 15 to 30 offers. It's all about getting you into that top 3 to 5 considerations. What can you do within your scope of bandwidth to at least be considered every time you attempt? And as long as you're doing that, it's worth continuing to try, because right now people are getting exhausted 6, 12, 18 offers and not getting any acceptance if they're not working with a really good team. So I just like to preface and then bullet, though there might not be any guarantees, there are some strategies to at least get top 5 considerations. And I think that's the key in this market,
Yeah, for sure. Be prepared. Like sports, right? I mean, no guarantee you're going to make it to the playoffs, but if you prepare as best as you can, do all the things you're supposed to do right, it gives you the best opportunity or shot, right?
I mean, the Lakers didn't make it past the first round.
Us, our Portland Trailblazers, again,
but
one and done.
That almost is a guarantee. the Blazers never winning a championship.
Oh, jeez, that hurts, man.
I'm a born and raised Portland Trailblazer fan. I have a flag on my house, so I've earned the right to speak a little trash on the.
Yeah, it's tough when the management's dying. It's tough, small market team.
So let's go into like a little bit of a kind of a role play story, because say you're listening to the podcast,
yeah,
say you're like searching and you're like a first time home buyer. What do you do first? If you are listening to this, you've done something right. So
the first step you've done.
Kudos to you. If there's somebody out there who is listening to this podcast,
we thank you.
You can somehow, in good graces, demonstrate that this was the first step for you. We will send you an MLO mug. I will commit to that.
I'll package it up for you and get it right out the door too.
On our TikTok live, we got the like super fan.
Yeah,
you helped send out that. Thank you. That person got it in 2 days, by the way. I think we paid an arm and a leg for that 2-day ship down to Arizona.
It was fire, dude. It was packaged up like Santa coming in hot. Yeah, it was like great.
48 hours. How much did we spend on that shipping?
Worth it for you guys and anyone listening. We appreciate it. We'll always send you a mug.
Absolutely. So hit us up for that mug. Like, find us on social media if you get that. We'll get you a mug.
But you've done the first step right, guys, because you plugged into this podcast, so you're trying to figure out, okay, what we do next. I would highly advise, I'm sure Addy's going to agree, first and foremost would be to talk to a local mortgage advisor. Sometimes you may have already talked to a real estate agent, but the first step is, how do you buy a home? Well, you got to know how much you can afford to buy a home, really.
Yeah, so you want to dial in the finances, in my opinion, prior to talking to any real estate agent about strategy, neighborhoods, or anything. And here's the reason why. Because unfortunately, well, actually, let's spin that. Fortunately, the agents focus on the house and the lenders or the mortgage professionals focus on the money. You can't really focus on the house without knowing the money. That is just the basics. So even if you do go talk to an agent right off the jump, Casey, they're often going to refer you to maybe a lender that they've worked with or someone that they know. Now, I gotta be real. A lot of the times, our industry, our complete job as lenders is to hobnob and network with agents so that we're the names at the top of the list. That's how it works. Now,
you mean like rub elbows?
Rub elbows?
Hobnob? What do you say?
Hobnob. You don't know that term?
Oh, it was rub elbows. What is that?
Actually, there's a bar called the Hobnob out on the east side. It's like socializing, mingle, and jingle.
We need to check this out.
It's an old school term.
Maybe you haven't invited me to the Hobnob.
It's like a Peaky Blinders term. I knew you'd like that because you watched that series last year.
But yeah, we're there to, truthfully create relationships, create partnerships, and grow business together, right?
Well, I think the unfortunate thing, though, is, if you get referred by an agent to a lender of who doesn't put their best foot forward, they might be great at their job, but maybe they have so much business they can't give you the time, energy, and support a first-time home buyer needs, which includes a lot of things, a lot of extra explaining, fine-combing of the process, definitions that might be confusing. The minute you've bought a couple homes, it's all, water on the bridge, experience another notch in your belt, and you don't stress about it as much. But first-time home buyers, even before your offering, take special effort. They're going to explain a lot of steps, and they're going to need to explain buying power in different ranges and a lot of the
you as a listener probably have right now and will have during the process lots of questions.
Yeah,
and that does take time.
Absolutely. And I just think, I'm not trying to discredit if you get referred by an agent. I'm just saying put an asterisk on it. Some of the quick questions I would ask too is, when you're even interviewing an agent or a lender, ask for examples of how many transactions they've closed in recent time, because the market is very competitive and it takes experience in that competitive market to actually apply and get offers accepted.
That's a great point Addy's mentioning right there. Anyone listening or watching, put that as one of your top priority steps. We mentioned, hey, if you're talking to an agent or you get referred to a lender, look for your local lender to start. Put it as this way. Start with that first step as interviewing those.
You do have the right to
lenders do an interview with one, two, a few of them, and same with real estate agents. And that question specifically that Addy mentioned is an important one. And that is, how many transactions have you closed in the last 12 months. It's that simple, because you need to know kind of the scope of person you're dealing with. I don't know what's an average.
Here's
some
how
numbers?
I would do it, because
they don't know what would,
Well, in my opinion, a couple quick things. My opinion, you want someone that can support you, that has experience, but also isn't so busy that they just have 7 people doing all the hard work for them, because that's not really supporting you. That's just, the term is called puppy milling, where it's just like put them in and out of the door.
He's hitting me with all these terms.
Yeah, I'm on a lingo Wednesday here, but you want someone who's doing a decent amount of volume, but not under, like, 1 per year is not enough to know what you're doing in this market. Ideally, on an agent side, I would like to see an agent who's done anywhere between 6 to 12 transactions in the last 12 months, because that's pacing to be working with a client every 4 to 6 weeks, one person.
Yep.
If you're seeing more than that, that's great. Like 24, oh, great, they can handle 2. Maybe it's 50. Wow, that's a lot of driving around. But if you're seeing more than that, you might want to be careful, or at least ask who you're talking to. It's like, oh, I noticed on that you've done 100 transactions last year. How do you even manage that? Because for me, I wouldn't want to be handed down the line like I talked to the billboard agent, the guy or the gal with the good looking fancy outfit. I have one conversation with them and I never hear from them again. Be very wary. There's a lot of teams out there like that, and there's a place for that, Casey, but first-time home buyers, I mean, even if I buy my 4th house, I don't want to work with somebody like that.
Well, you want communication too. Like, I have clients right now in transactions where I would imagine that is the agent they're working with, and they've been able to talk to them one time during the entire transaction. Verbally, I mean, their words are right now, legitimately, like, that the person's useless. At this point, they're buying a house together and the person is useless. Like that doesn't cut it.
That's not a good one. Not at all. And I would just, quick tip too, if you're sitting at home and you're like, well, how do I check how much business these agents have done? You might not know that. Just Google in their name. So like Johnny Smith, Realtor, City, Zillow, and it'll pop up their agent finder on Zillow. And Zillow actually merges in with closed transactions in the last 12 months. You can see under that profile photo how many they've done. So that's a nice, and I'm not trying to, I'm like verbally asterisking everything I'm saying, because I'm like cringing that some of the people in this market, agents that don't hear this and get mad at me for bashing them on the team model.
I mean, guys, we all have agent partners, right? Like, me and Addy have several agent partners. We want, obviously, them, referring their clients to us, but we also know we're going to put into that. We know that backing and support and timing and answering those questions, and that we're going to support those clients of our partnerships. So, but also, for common knowledge and advice out there, it is okay to be worried about who you are referred to, and that is real.
Yeah, and I loved what you said. Like, don't be afraid to interview people. I think that's well within your rights, but you gotta start early. You can't do it in one weekend.
Yeah.
Sliding that over to interviewing lenders, though, right?
Yep.
So say you get some names, you get some recommendations. The number one catch-all I would have, and we train our loan officers here on our team this, first conversation or reach out, say you get an email, I get a text, or hey, someone's referred you. I am not just going to say this. I will send you a link to the application. Let me know when you're done. That's not cool. That is very lazy mortgage work. There needs to be an introduction call, an introduction story, email, correspondence. Because for me, when someone first reaches out to me, Casey, I want to get to know them. I need to be able to see their family or their situation in my head. How many kids do they have? How long have they been renting? What do they do for employment? How is the debt situation? How is the credit situation? And a good mortgage professional, Casey, a good lender, can do that without you doing any work. They can have a conversation. A lot of my clients in first touch bases don't even know that I'm actually having a casual conversation, but I'm also checking about 50 boxes in my head. And because there's only so many scenarios of like, are we ready or are we not, or we're going to have a big problem, I can know where you're at by a high percentage probability just off that first call. So if someone's just trying to say, hey, fill out this link to my lender and get the app done, no. That's not what you need. They're just either too busy or too lazy, and you don't want either of those. Right?
Yeah, you got to have that conversation because everybody's like story is different, and financing honestly is really different with everybody. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is very straightforward, but honestly, it's like things happen in financing where you think like it's not a big deal, but on lending or mortgages, it is. Mm-hmm. So you have to have like those introductory calls, or at least I myself do. Addy does. Truthfully, it helps me be the best advisor I can be. It helps me put together the product. It also helps me save time too. I don't want to waste your guys' time. I don't want to make you do an application, pull credit and stuff if we knew going into it, the credit really needed to be repaired already. You knew there's some stuff in the past already on there and stuff. Now, maybe we do have to give you the best advice on how to, maybe go forward with it. But up front though, too, there's a lot of stuff where you just might not be ready, and we can tell right out of that initial call, and maybe, we set it up for down the road, right? Or maybe there's that stuff that we have to go over, where the money's coming from, or transfers and gifts and all types of different things that can happen. Nice to kind of hash out in that first call and go through and then be ready.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations in that first call that lenders can identify if there's going to be any issues. Self-employment stuff, credit questions, but it's a good opportunity for consumers to see kind of a temperature with lenders. And I would ask, hey, what do you do differently than the average lender or mortgage professional? What makes your approach so much different? Another thing would be just the same advice that we had with the real estate agents. It's like, talk to me about your last couple transactions. For me, I get a lot of VA people that want to hear about, they've got a lot of concerns. They've been Googling and they are scared about being competitive in this market with a VA loan, but it's possible. And I just had that yesterday. A client of mine relocating from Hawaii was really worried. It's like, do we need to switch to a conventional? We're not moving until 6 months, and was very worried about it. And say, hey, here are the last 4 examples of accepted VA offers in this hot market that we had. This is how we handled different things like down payment, closing costs, appraisal gap guarantees, all these different things. And it really, rest assured, okay, great. At least the person and team I'm working with can give me some examples of getting an accepted offer. So those are all things you could have in that first call.
You want
it doesn't have to be long-winded.
And you want that truth too. Like that's what I just kind of tell people, honestly, with mine. It's like, I'm going to tell you guys like the honest truth. Like, we're not beating around, I'm not going to try to hide or dodge anything here. Like, because if you're listening, the last thing you want to do is not get that proper advice, or maybe you got some questions that weren't answered or something. You go into a transaction and it comes up and makes the financing fall apart, or something happens, right? Now you have a sale fail, which means, the transaction just didn't go through. But you invested a lot of time, your time, there may be some money involved. So like those initial calls are big, guys, because a lender doing their proper advice can really hear your story. As Addy said, he's checking the boxes off because there's only so many scenarios that kind of it either works or doesn't work. So, that's one thing we're trying to look out for too, is the best interest of all parties. Is everybody ready? And we're not, creating a bad transaction here.
Yeah. I totally agree. And to add to that, Casey, too, you really want to pick your team wisely, especially, the lender, because I think there's a misperception that you can change lenders. And
good.
Like, I had somebody reach out to me just on Monday where they said, hey, Addy, we found your social media content, your TikTok, your IG. Oh, yeah.
Shout out.
All that good stuff. However, they gave me the story. We got an accepted offer this weekend. Oh, congratulations, right?
Yeah.
They said, we really don't like our lenders. Can we switch to you? And I had to reply and I said, first of all, it's against the my personal morals to take business from other lenders that have received an accepted offer. And that is because that individual, whether you feel like the service isn't good or bad, has put time, effort. They've had that, hopefully, had that intro call, worked on your file enough to write a pre-approval for, and it's just not kosher for other mortgage originators to, they call it stealing business.
Yep.
And just undercut and say like, I'll give you $50 off your fee if you move to me. And I had to say, hey, that's not my style. I don't do that to my mortgage colleagues in this market, nor do I want the reputation for it. However, if there's something that's not connecting for you, send me some questions and I'll give you my perspective on it. So I think the reason why I tell that story is for some first-time home buyers, they might be told by their agent or their friend that it doesn't matter, just get the letter, get a pre-approval letter, and then get into contract, and then go ahead. That's really poor form. And nobody likes that. And that puts you at compromise, because if you do switch your financing company after an accepted offer, it is mandatory to present an addendum for change of financing, which whenever you present an addendum, you are opening up the contract to be dissolved by the sellers. So you don't want to put your contract at risk.
That's what I think people don't get told, or that information isn't, getting explained to them clearly, especially these home buyers. Like, hey, if you decide to switch lenders during the transaction, and I know, different states have different laws, stuff like that, but for the most part, that addendum or, that sign off from the seller side saying that that's okay leads to a whole different, can of worms. You can open that up to renegotiation. You can open up to different things, because your offer was accepted with the pre-approval letter that you presented with that lender. That's how that offer was accepted. And that's what people forget. And you try to do that switch over. And I like the way Addy's approach is too, because guys, we're all colleagues here in this business. So unless that's like a referred over from, that lender specifically saying, hey, I can't do this loan anymore, can you please help my clients, stuff like that, we are happy to help those clients. But if you haven't had those discussions yet and you're buying a home, that's something you want to discuss with your parties, your current lender, your real estate agent, and they'll all get that okayed before you do that.
Well, and another story real quick is, a listener reached out on the podcast and was doing it right, where, they've listened to the episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that
very much.
And then they went through
Share us a review.
Right? Yeah, we need the reviews. But to stay on topic here, so this listener, got quotes and got pre-approved from 3 different lenders. They were going through the process, 3 different ones.
Nice.
But they were really confused because none of the lenders really explained the fees and how rates worked. So they were seeing discrepancies on the interest rate. Now, if you've watched or listened to any of our rate, how do rate work?
I like that.
Tongue twister. How do rates work? I'll say it quicker and stronger.
Work, yeah.
We've talked about that a lot. Not all rates are equal. So in short, and the best way I can put it is usually if you have a lower rate, it's going to be a higher closing cost for you, more money out of pocket. So it's called finding the sweet spot.
Yep.
Just for easy math, you might get 3% might be 3.00 might be your lowest rate, and 4 might be the high, but 4 comes with only $5,000 in closing costs, and the 3 comes with $15,000. So unfortunately, how mortgages work, it's really easy to manipulate the figures for someone that doesn't understand what they're looking at on loan estimates. I long-windedly say that because most of the time, guys, everyone's pretty close together. Yep. It really comes down to maybe apples to apples comparison, only $400 to $1,500 in total, more costs or less costs, really, for retail mortgage professionals like ourselves. And that shouldn't be the evaluation, because there's a lot of compliance protecting you. And a huge misperception is, a lot of first-time homebuyers think, the higher the interest rate, the more money the mortgage company makes. That's not how this job works. The mortgage company pays us a flat rate to how we perform, how many people we help, reviews, quarterly performances, all this stuff. It has nothing to do with the rate. It's our goal to make you happy and get the best deal and service you so that you refer us. That is
100%
how it works. But not a lot of people even talk about that or know that. It has nothing to do with the comp. My compensation isn't even a part of your loan whatsoever. My company pays me to perform and close loans. Now, it's different because the agent side real estate agents get paid per percentage of the sale, and the sellers pay both a buyer agent and seller agent commission. So if you're buying a house, you don't have to pay any commission for agents, but if you're selling, that you got to pay both sides. That's how it works. So I think there's this misperception that that's how lenders work. It's like, oh, well, and they think there's something to negotiate, but really there's not.
Yeah, and I like, and in our other episodes too, if you guys go back, like we've broken down like the different tiers and models and platforms of lenders, you know, big banks, credit unions, retail mortgage companies, mortgage brokers, online, stuff like that. Because that is something when you are shopping to be aware of, because some lenders might charge you upfront costs to work with them. Some don't. Some might even have it, you know, a little bit of both ways, where it's a small cost or their rates are higher, whatever. So that's definitely great advice, because if you're doing your shopping right, you know, you should have the competitive rate. Most lenders are going to stay within about an eighth of each other, you know, in that competitiveness. So,
yeah. And if one lender is maybe 0.125, an eighth higher than the other lender, but the higher interest rate lender just so slightly is totally hitting it out of the park with service, education, calling your listing agents when you put in the offer. That is so worth it. And I got a story to back this up.
100%.
That is so worth it, because, you're going to, you know, say 0.1% on your interest rate to work with a 1-800 number who never calls you back. Your offer will never get accepted in this market. There is so much demand for open communication, proactive communication, just to get into contract. And selling agents know this, and they won't look at they won't even look at an offer of which is not with a local lender who is answering their phone. So did we just hit the music?
We got music. Man, I was going to say, you're coming in your story, but I think we're coming here at the end of our half-hour session.
Yeah, and I'll just go real quick on this story to wrap it up. Like, I had a client of mine that we had them in contract, and I'd been working with them for 6 months strong, right?
Yeah.
Calls me out of the blue, and we'd been 2.5 weeks, accepted offer, and goes, hey, look, you know, I finally went around and got a bunch of quotes from different credit unions and this and that. And it looks like they can do 0.1% better on the rate. And I was just dumb for this. Was like 7 o'clock at night, and it personally offended me, because I worked with them for half a year. I got them into contract based on my reputation, did everything. And it's like, yeah, finally got all the quotes back. Yeah, I got you into contract and started processing the loan quicker than someone got you a quote. That is why they're cheaper, because you will never get your offer accepted. So that 0.1 savings is not there. And I had to politely say, there's no negotiation.
That was the best way to explain it right there. Oh, that was awesome.
The rates are the rates.
Look how long it took to get the quote, guys.
But do focus on that break even. When you're looking at rate sheets, look at the cost, look at the break, ask your loan officer what the break even is. But that's where you start. That would be my advice on interviewing.
100%, guys. I love that, kind of interview side of it, guys. So if you're out there, that first step, start interviewing your agents, start interviewing your lenders, find out which ones are going to be a good fit for you. And that is the best way you can start this process.
Absolutely. So I think we got to cut to the land in the plane, Casey. Why don't you take us home?
Yep. So if you're listening, we super appreciate it. And especially if you guys are watching us either through social medias or even on Comcast, your local television. You know where to find us. So you want to go on the MLOshow.com. It's going to have a ton of information out there for you. We have our phone number. If you want to call in, please do that.
The VIP line.
That's that VIP line. That number is 503-847-9038.
Yeah, that thing's been busy lately.
And for all of our listeners out there, though, check us on those platforms. And guys, please, Addy's going to attest to this. If you are an iPhone holder, finish it off for me.
Yeah, we really need reviews on the Apple podcast.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we're doing well. We're ranking super high on the Apple specific.
But we know you got iPhones.
Yeah, we need. If you feel inclined, please leave us a review.
Feel inclined.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
You've been listening to
MLO.
Catch you later.